here we are, together.
We get up early in the morning.
Even friends or families here.
It's game day, and this place is special.
This is Bill King at the Oakland Coliseum, the home of the Oakland Raiders.
History lives here.
Number 41, Philadelphia.
Great defense!
Holy Toledo! The place has gone wild!
The players.
Intercepted,
Back is Plunkett.
On the run. Touchdown!
That's 1,000 catches for Tim
The
Brown.
moments.
It looks like Terrence Davis. He's been knocked. The Oakland Coliseum is
Oakland Raiders have punched their ticket to the postseason.
And of course, the fans. Raiders! Pride and poise. Commitment to excellence. Raider Nation, it's Oaktown, baby.
Boy, that just gives me shivers down my spine every time I see this. You are watching the Mad Bomber podcast. I'm Johnny from San Diego. Hey, Johnny from San Diego. Hey, tonight we got a big show. I was privy to get to go to the Clint Kubiak presser on Tuesday. I made the trip to Las Vegas, and it was quite a day. It was fantastic to watch this guy walk around. I can tell you, in fact, let me bring the Oracle on, because what I wanted to do, Oracle, ¿qué pasa, amigo?
Hey, how you doing, Johnny? Back from the
great.
press conference. How was it, man? What'd you learn?
You know what? I had my eyes and ears open and my mouth shut. I was the first period apprentice broadcaster there, so I knew my place. What I did like about it is because I had access. I was literally, arm's distance away from a lot of pretty good old-time Raiders, and then of course Clint Kubiak. Got to talk with some of the Raider podcasters there, a couple of the podcasters, and there was a buzz in the air. Someone from the podcast, Paul Gutierrez was there. A nice gentleman. And so a lot of the guys there were talking were like, this one was different from last year when from when Pete Carroll makes me laugh last year or the year before or this year. But what I I was there because I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's looking at somebody, watching his mannerisms, seeing how he interacts. His family was there. I could see he is a man of faith. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. It was fun. His kids were playing football on the practice field that we were at. So that was where I was posted up. And what I saw, what I thought was really cool is that you could see he commands the room. This guy's been around, football players his whole life, big time football players, John Elway types, from the Broncos when his dad was with and coached the Broncos. He's been around John Jefferson. He is a wide receiver coach with the Vikings when John Jefferson was a rookie. Absolutely had his best year. What I saw, Oracle, as a Raider fan, as a longtime Raider fan, I mean, there was a lot of similarities with Madden and Flores. They were both guys that were Madden was a little bit more boisterous on the sidelines. Flores was a little bit more content. And I heard those stories this weekend. Howie Long was there. Mike Haynes was there. Marcus Allen was there. Charles Woodson was there. Rich Gannon was there. Jim Plunkett was there. So I was within an arm distance of these guys listening to their stories. And like I said, I didn't want to open my grill. I just wanted to listen. And there was some Tom Flores stories because obviously we just recently, you and I went to the Tom Flores event recently. And the similarity that I'm going to say, and I don't want to ever do this, but he's seemed to be more of a Belichick kind of guy, very much X's and O's. He's not like, hey, Howie, hey. It's like, hey, how are you? How are you? You know, seems like he's been there before. And that was impressive to me because I was watching him interact. And when he had his kids, it was a whole different Clint Kubiak. I mean, you know, he's got 3 boys and a girl, and it's you can see it's chaos. You know, just as a father who has 5 boys, you could see that there was chaos. And what I did love in his presser, we're going to talk more about it, but right now about the kids, is that I got to be a better father. You know, and I think as a father, that's almost like being a football coach. You know, you're like, I got to get better. I got to do this better. And speaking of better, let's put on this video. Let's get to know Clint Kubiak on the football field. This is a video that's been put back all the way back from the Kansas City Jayhawks. Let's enjoy it together.
Back, wide receivers coach. Come hang out with me today. If you can keep up with the tempo. Here we go. Let your voice be heard. Speak, speak, speak. You want to play in the game or not? You got to put it on tape right now. Let's go. Good ball security habits now. Don't let that thing swing out, especially you today, right, 7? All day, man. We're going to preach it. Stance and start all day. It's got to be important to you. Don't fade now. Get right there. Put your eyes on it. Eyes on it. Go. Mean street. Mean street. Mean street. Stay in control now. Just go. Just go. Let's go. Place by. Look it in. I don't know what happened to you, man. You're a different guy today. Explode out, QBs. Explode out. All right, let's wake it up. Wake up the feet. Here we go. Eyes up. Eyes up. Eyes up. Eyes up. Boom. Good feet. Like it. Oh, baby. Good placement, perfect. Cross my face, cross my face. Get it down, get it down, get it down, especially in the red zone. Nice job, great decision. Way to rip it in there. That's a good decision right there. That was good football right there. All right, D, give us a look, D. Give us a look. First down, man, first down. We gotta chunk that thing downfield. First down, we gotta get it here, right? Keep it alive with your legs if it's not open. Last play of the game.
So Oracle, I see a lot of teaching. I don't think he's a rah-rah guy at all. I think it's going to be X's and O's. There was a quote from Sam Darnold that touchdown to Barner in the end zone. They just put that in that week. And I was listening to a show and he was talking about, can I say this? We just put that play in this week. So I do think we got a good X's and O guy. And then we'll see how much of a leader of men he is. I mean, from all accounts, he's done very, very, very well everywhere he's gone. Derek Carr likes him. We won't talk about that right now. Derek Carr is one of Derek Carr's. That's his best friend. Oh, look at this right off the bat. First in, Carmen. Show that hat, Oracle. Show that hat. Yeah.
We were waiting for you, Carmen. Honestly, I thought you'd comment a little sooner.
Oh, we were just running tape. So with that, Oracle, I think the Raiders got their guy, and there was some stuff in the press conference that he said, and again, gamesmanship. Let's watch it.
Limited. I saw him play the national championship game. I saw the interviews he's given after those games and how team oriented he is. But I look forward to getting to know the player better. But obviously a really talented guy with a bright future, and we'll see where he ends up. But we got a lot of work to do to get to know him before that time comes.
Yeah. See, there's a lot of people in that building want him to put that 15 jersey on him immediately, that Raider jersey on him immediately. And he alluded to in the press conference itself, I don't know much about him. And, I think the way he answered the questions, if you go back and look at the presser, he's been there before. He's met the press. This guy is not going to be a very flamboyant coach in front of the press. But I do think, as I watched some press conferences, but again, he's just an OC and a receiver coach. And it's just, he seems very vanilla. And what was your thoughts? What did you think watching that presser? And Rudy, he was rooting for me. him and his agent, his lawyer, were rooting for me out at in Henderson this week.
Well, the thing that I like more than anything is when you showed that video of him being an assistant coach at Kansas. I saw a guy who's a teacher. And look, it's great to get a good schemer. And yes, Clint Kubiak is a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. Naturally, by that, we automatically think he's a good schemer. We saw what he was able to put on film as the Seahawks offensive coordinator. But when you show me that video of him at Kansas, I see a guy who really stresses the fundamentals. And if he was able to do that as an assistant coach, and we're able to see how he is as a schemer with the Seahawks, then I think we're getting a hybrid schemer and teacher, which is, I think, what some of the best coaches in all football history have been. So, yeah, definitely, it is very exciting for the Raider fans to not only see the humility he shows at the press conference, a guy who's a man of faith, a guy who's not a rah-rah guy. He's not Rex Ryan coming in making big guarantees. We're going to the Super Bowl and all that stuff. He's just a guy that's going to come in, coach football. He's about family. He's about faith, the faith family football triangle that a lot of these great coaches are all about. I think that's what we're getting with Clint Kubiak. And the one thing from the Kansas footage, he talks a lot about your eyes, watch your eyes, and your feet. And in any athletic competition, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether you're watching the Winter Olympics and you're watching curling, a lot of it is how your eyes and your feet are married together. And when you're able to do that, that's kind of the basic essence of fundamentals within anything that has to do with movement. So I really like what I'm seeing with Clint Kubiak so far. Now, the big question is this going to translate to wins? So we know what he is as a schemer. You know, he's a guy that is really places an emphasis on the center, on the offensive line, being the communicator, and he runs the wide zone scheme. So that requires a lot of athleticism, movement. The offensive linemen got to really get out there and take some extra steps to reach some of the defensive linemen that are initially a little farther away from them. So what kind of linemen are the Raiders going to be able to get in free agency in the draft that are going to be able to marry the scheme that Clint Kubiak wants to run?
Let me ask you a question real quick before we go into weed. Tonight is offensive line. We are the Oracle and I are going to be doing free agency right now. I am not a fan of the combine. I don't want to see somebody parade in their shorts and there's enough tape on football players for them to see. I mean, if they gave me a ticket there, I would still not go. I think that is, to me, it's I completely like, okay, when the Raiderettes try out, okay, I'm sure there's a lot of really, really, really pretty girls, right, Oracle? But I'm sure there's a lot of girls that dance. They just can't get jiggy with it. You know what I mean? So she looks good, but does she dance good? And that's the combine in a nutshell. Take that one to the bank, fellas. It's like, yeah, they look good. They run fast. But, I mean, are they mean? And that's why the combine is boring. So that's my 5 minutes. I don't want to talk about that anymore. So one question for you, Oracle. The Raiders are going to draft Fernando Mendoza, no doubt in my mind. He said enough good things after I have to see him. How do you think that he's going to do in a Clint Kubiak, C. Barner, CJSN kind of offense?
I think he will do well. I think let's look at Fernando Mendoza first. He's someone that came over to this Indiana offense. He was able to learn that. He was able to go undefeated. Now, what is the offense going to be that we saw in Seattle? How is it going to translate? Now, Clint Kubiak was up there in rushing attempts. Now, they weren't up there in rushing efficiency throughout the season, even though they rushed the ball really well in the Super Bowl. But even though they weren't up there in efficiency, they still had a lot of attempts. So that shows that with those the high volume of attempts, they're using that to set up the passing game because they were one of the more efficient teams in the passing game. So with Ashton Janty, with hopefully some improvements on the offensive line, not only can there be a better run game? But the whole thing is to set up play action. And this whole running the ball, set up play action, we got to look at this Clint Kubiak scheme. And his father is Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak was the backup quarterback to John Elway in Denver when Mike Shanahan was the coach. And Clint Kubiak has worked for Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco a little bit. So a lot of what you see in San Francisco is tied hand in hand with what you see with Clint Kubiak, because a lot of that goes hand in hand. So it's zone running and it's a lot of play action. Now, another thing that the Shanahan Kubiak system is known for is the bootlegs. And that is where the quarterback fakes the handoff, and then he kind of fakes handoff and then runs out to the left. And then usually there's a receiver who's kind of going that way too, or a tight end.
Or both.
Or both, exactly.
Or both.
Yeah. So what you're doing is and one thing that you do with the bootlegs is a bootleg is a play that actually blocks a defender for the quarterback and the running back. Because when the threat of a bootleg of a quarterback going out there, there's a defender that has to go out there with the quarterback. So even when you hand it off, there's a outside linebacker or defensive end that has to stay put and not defend the run, because they have to make sure that they are containing the quarterback when they go out there. So let's say there's seven guys in the box. Because of the threat of a bootleg, you take a 7-man box and you turn it into a 6-man box. So you get better numbers for the offensive line of the running game. So what we saw with Jackson Smith-Njigba in the passing game, I think that's what Clint Kubiak is going to utilize, is going to be the barometer for Brock Bowers going into the season. What Kubiak really did with Jackson Smith-Njigba is he would line him up as the number 3 receiver a lot. And the number 3 receiver is the number 1 receiver is the guy that's closest to the boundary. The number 2 receiver is the slot receiver next to the guy on the boundary. And then the 3 receiver is usually a running back, but it could also be a tight end, or it could be another slot receiver. And what that does is, especially when you're playing a defense that runs a lot of quarters coverage, because the rules of quarters coverage is who's the number 1 receiver, who's the number 2 receiver, who's the number 3 receiver. And based on the route distribution, that kind of dictates who covers who. So when you're able to get your really good receiver like Jackson Smith-Njigba or Brock Bowers and have him be the number 3 receiver, usually that's not a good cover guy who's on the number 3 receiver. So I think Clint Kubiak does a really good job of attacking coverage principles. And that's what he's going to do with the Raiders' best receiver in Brock Bowers.
And now in his press conference, and then on his tidbits to all the other podcasters there, he talked about his most favorite position, and that's what we're going to segue into. Go ahead, Oracle. Who is his best friend on the offensive line?
Well, that would be the center position. That's the main communicator. And when we're looking at the Raiders' offensive line and how they're going to build this new offensive line going into the 2026 season, the number 1 guy we got to look at is Jackson Powers Johnson, because we're unsure of, is he a center like he was in his rookie year, or is he going to be a guard like he was last year before he got hurt? So before we build out this line, John Spytek and Clint Kubiak and Tom Brady need to answer that question of what is Jackson Powers Johnson going to be? Because if Jackson Powers Johnson is going to play center, then that would mean the Raiders would have to look at guards to spend their money on in free agency. So they would look at guys like David Edwards from Buffalo. They look at Zion Johnson from the Chargers. They look at Isaac Seumalo from the Steelers, and they'd spend money there. And David Edwards is a guy who he's been very durable. He's played a lot of snaps. He's been a solid blocker, and he's going to get a pretty hefty contract this year. He's probably going to want a 3-year deal in about maybe around like $16 million a year range. And the Raiders have the salary cap to really go out there and do that. And I think if you're going to decide that JPJ is your center, the number 1 guard target for them would be David Edwards, and mainly because of his age. He's 28. He's been durable, and he's been a solid player. Is he a Pro Bowl player? No. But he's a guy who, with JPJ, if he's able to stay healthy at center, and then you get David Edwards at a guard spot, and then you have another guard there, whether that's DJ Glaze or Caleb Rogers, then you could really maybe stabilize the interior of that offensive line.
Yeah, David Edwards is good. There's something that tells me that he's going to be a Raider. The Buffalo Bills are up against it on the salary cap.
Yeah.
So if we're going to talk about Buffalo Bills, who's another guy? We'll finish with your number one pick at the end.
Yeah.
So if we're going to stick with the Buffalo Bills, let's go ahead and stick with this young man.
Yeah, well, if they want to put JPJ at guard, then we got to look at a free agent center to bring in, and that could be Connor McGovern. And he's a guy that's going to command a little bit of money. He won't command as much money as some other people or one other guy on free agency. But with JPJ at guard and you got Connor McGovern at center, Connor McGovern's a guy who's played for. This is going to be about his 8th year in the league.
He's 28.
He's been fairly healthy the past couple seasons. He did get injured in the playoff game against Denver, where he had a concussion. So they'll have to monitor that going into the year, and we'll see what the physical's like when they bring him in for free agency. But it could be a cost-controlled option where you're still getting a pretty quality player at center. You're not breaking the bank. And if you bring in Connor McGovern, maybe you're able to bring in spend a little bit more money on a right tackle or a guard. Maybe you could bring in David Edwards and Connor McGovern. Maybe that could be a possibility.
Well, then you could do the tush push.
Could do the tush push. Yeah, definitely. I mean,
because Fernando Mendoza looks like a guy that could handle the tush push.
Hey, I think Fernando Mendoza, based on what we saw last year in college, finds a way to get it done.
You know what? And Connor McGovern is – I got to watch some film. Hold on there, Chavez. We're almost there. And Steven's already I think Steven read our playbook already. Hey, guys, if you're out there, like and subscribe. We're close. I heard we were. So like and subscribe, and we certainly do appreciate it. But I got to really fall in love with Connor McGovern because who we're going to talk about at the end, and we all know who it is. We're going to show him, and he's a beast. I mean, but I don't have a problem with Connor McGovern at all. I believe that this guy is tough. He's always looking. You talk about like Oracle always talks about wanting to eat. He wants to eat. And this guy is another one of those guards that wants to eat. It looks like he's going to be around 16 to 17 million a year. That's what this is what the 3-spot track, PFF, and all the guys that are looking at what kind of contract he's possibly going to get. They're talking about a 3-year, $58 million, $60 million with $48 million guaranteed. So we'll see what that happens. But Oracle, this guy is another guy, in my opinion, that comes. I mean, he's one of those guys. Again, when can you go wrong with the Penn State guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like,
I mean, you can.
Well, I mean, I like his pedigree. I like the way he plays. It was too hard for me to dice and slice all of his tapes. He is one hell of a run blocker for sure. And I think that the Cooks would tell you that the running back for the Bills would put their word on him. And I know Connor McGovern, I read articles. He does want to stay in Buffalo. But they're going to have to make a choice between those two guys. And I don't know which one it'll be. So with that, Oracle, what is your next guy on offensive line that we want?
Yeah, why don't let's continue down the JPJ at center and let's look at maybe a guy like Isaac Seumalo and if that could be a good fit. Now, Isaac Seumalo is a little bit older. He's 32. He's had some injuries. He's a guy who had some triceps. He was injured in week 15 this year with triceps. He's dealt with a pec injury the past 2 years too. In 2024, he sustained it late in an August practice. He missed the first 4 weeks, and then he re-injured the pec in 2025 and missed week 10. So they're going to have to really make sure that he's going to be able to fulfill the contract, and he's not going to be on IR for a lot of it because he is an older player, but he is a guy who plays really well. According to Pro Football Focus, he was the 12th ranked guard last year, and he was the 4th ranked pass blocking guard out of 81 guards. So look, this may be a guy that is like a 1 or 2 year deal. Maybe he's around like 12 million or 13 million. Maybe
they're
that's
talking about a 1 year show me deal for 11 million. That was what was being thrown out there, and that was someone close to him. This is what they said, is that he wouldn't have a problem doing a 1 year show me deal for 11. They didn't say 11. The calculations are 11. So that's kind of where he's a little long in the tooth. He is a Super Bowl champion. He was an Eagle. He played for the Eagles, and he played really well as an Eagle. But I believe that is he a little big for the zones blocking scheme? Are you worried about that?
I'm not, because he was with Arthur Smith last year in Pittsburgh, and Arthur Smith runs a little bit of zone. The thing that excites me most about him is he's a really good pass blocker, and that's something that the Raiders really lacked last year on their interior offensive line. How many times did we see the teams run simulated pressures against us, and and whether it was Dylan Parham or Kappa, just didn't know who to block? So that's and the good thing about a 1 year deal is, with a guy like Caleb Rogers, maybe he needs just 1 more year to develop, and then he's able to be a starting level player. And Isaac Seumalo could be that bridge on a 1 year deal that allows Caleb Rogers to continue to develop.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you there. Again, we've got a list, and I believe that the Raiders are going to get 2. Oracle's definitely thinks they're going to get 2. And again, they know, I mean, Spytek said it in the press, not in the press conference, but he said it on that Raider report show, that he knows he has to get some blocking in the offense. But he also said, and it scared me a little bit. He said, well, you know what? I also want to be smart too. And I don't, if you do 17 means 19, and then another player's 9 means 11, now you've just wasted another $5 million where I could have got another player. So I like the way Spytek says things. That scares me a little bit, especially I don't want them to get real cheap on the offensive line this year. And your next one, I'm going to go ahead and put up here. And I'm a very big, I think this is a very, very big probability.
Yeah, so this is Josh Jones. And look, if Clint Kubiaks is going to come in, the Raiders definitely need a right tackle. DJ Glaze cannot go into the season as the right tackle. We know that's just not going to work anymore. So with Josh Jones, he's a guy who has never really been a full-time starter at tackle. He did fill in a little bit at left and right tackle for the Seahawks this year because Charles Cross had some injuries. Abraham Lucas also missed a game or two. So he's a guy that has experience in the Kubiak scheme, which is definitely a plus. And he did play pretty well this year. Nothing spectacular, but he wasn't a big liability out there. But just because the Seahawks have 2 starting solidified offensive tackles, there wasn't a room for him, and he probably wants to go to a team where he's going to be able to get a starting job. So the thing the Raiders really need to answer is, where is Charles Grant in his development phase? What did John Spytek see from him this year, and how far along is he? Because the Raiders want him to eventually be their starting offensive tackle on the right side, to have a bookend of Colton Miller on the left, Charles Grant on the right. But is he ready? You don't want to put him out there too prematurely. So the Raiders may need a little bit of a stopgap option at right tackle. And if they're going to spend money on center and they're going to spend a lot of money on guard, you might want to get a cheaper option in Josh Jones, who's probably going to command maybe a 1 year deal at the most, like $7 million. So
the Spot Track has him at 4.7 on a 1 year deal.
Okay, yeah. So and look, maybe Charles Grant. And the thing about Charles Grant is, in college, I looked at PFF, and with outside zone runs, Charles Grant was the highest graded player when it came to outside zone runs in the whole draft class of last year. So that's a very encouraging sign that Clint Kubiak's coming to town and he runs a lot of outside zone. So maybe that could this is going to be a scheme that really highlights the strengths of Charles Grant, and maybe he's able to come in and win a job during training camp. That would definitely be ideal, but they have to be prepared for him to not be ready. So Josh Jones could be a guy who comes in. Hopefully he's healthy, and hopefully he's able to maintain the consistent level of play that he had in his little bit of time in Seattle. And look, are we looking for a world beater in him? No. But we're looking for a guy that could come in and solidify the position, not be the liability that DJ Glaze was. He'll probably still need a little bit of help in pass protection, whether it's from the right guard of JPJ, Isaac Seomalu, if they sign him, or some help from Michael Mayer. But this could definitely be a good option for the Raiders on the lower cost end.
Yes. I think that's going to be just looking at his body of work and how he filled in really, really well for Cross. I think that's going to be a very big possibility for the Raiders. Moving forward, let's go ahead. Did we talk about Braden Smith yet?
No, but let's get to him next. So, look, Braden Smith is a guy that has had some very good years in the National Football League. He's about to be 30. He is coming off an injury where he has dealt with some concussion issues and neck issues, and he missed the last 4 games of the season. He was placed on IR. Another thing with Braden Smith is he dealt with some mental health issues at the end of 2024. He dealt with OCD issues. There's actually a really good article online about it where they kind of go in depth about it. And he was placed on the NFI list and he missed the final 5 games. So not only do you have to evaluate the concussion in the neck, you need to see where he is mentally. And the concussion and neck issues, did that maybe have any effect on his mental health at all? He's also missed in 2023, he missed 7 games for his knee and his foot. In 2022, he missed the game because of his back. And then 2021, he missed 6 games with a foot injury. So I think you got to have a little bit of buyer beware on Braden Smith. Yes, has he been solid when he's in the lineup? He's a really good run blocker. But again, the number one thing you have to examine beyond just play is, are they durable and are they stable? So this is something that I think a lot of teams that have interest in Braden Smith are going to factor in when it comes to handing him a contract. And even though there might be some projections online about what he's going to make, I'm curious to see if it comes in a little bit lower than what's projected online, just due to the durability and the stability that he's had in his life. So,
well, the Raider fans are going to be a little bit of buyer beware. They may see Barrett Robbins, ghosts of Barrett Robbins, and then again the present ghost of JPJ. And then you're waiting for him for 5 games, and then he comes back. I really like what you were talking about, Charles Grant, because I believe the offense he ran in college was very, very up tempo, fast paced, score a lot of points, and I think that's going to be something. Hopefully, he can win the job, and then have Josh Jones there with him. This guy, I would not want to touch him. I think that this is he's got impressive tape, but I'm just not buying anybody that's got damaged goods. See Christian Wilkins. I've seen this movie before, and right now he's projected to make 13.5, per year, and they want a 3-year deal. I think it was 40 guaranteed. That's what I've already heard the agents talking about. So 40 guaranteed, and then the next thing you know, this guy's gone to TJ with Barrett Robbins. No thanks. Nope. Dude, thank you. So we are out of that. And then hold on. Oh, hold on. We got to answer his first question. Any chance on Jermaine Illuminar? No, I hope not. I don't like Greg Van Roten or Jermaine Illuminar. I'm not a fan of either of them. I actually, we were at the game, Oracle, the Giants game, and Jermaine Illuminar was getting destroyed. Because remember how many times I was laughing? I'm like, hey, Jackson Dart ran for, if it wasn't for Jackson Dart, Jermaine Illuminar was probably going to get pulled. No, thank you. But this is the next question from our boy. Give me Tyler Linderbaum. Oracle, put your GM hat on. Put your GM hat on. You have the money. Mark Davis said, go, Gopher. Go, Gopher. What are you going to do, Oracle?
Well, going back to the first question with JPJ, JPJ's had a lot of health issues. He's had a lot of concussion issues. And if Clint Kubiaks says that the center is the most important position, that doesn't really align with someone who's had a lot of health issues that JPJ has. I would think they'd want to get someone who they feel a little bit more secure about them long term and their durability. So if that's the case, I think they do decide to keep JPJ at guard. And with all the cap room they do have, I really expect the Raiders to go out and outbid everyone for Tyler Linderbaum. And that is, I think, going to be their number one priority for this offseason because it just makes too much sense. The only team that has more cap room than the Raiders is the Titans. And they have Lloyd Cushenberry, who didn't play great this year, but I think the Titans go after probably Trey Hendrickson and Alec Pierce. I think they go down that route. Whereas the Raiders finished this year as the 32nd ranked offensive line, according to PFF. And why not go after the highlight film that we're seeing right here with Tyler Linderbaum? Is it going to be I think he is going to be expensive. I think some of the projections that you see online, I think he actually will go higher than the projections because I think whether it's the Chargers, whether it's the Giants, Baltimore, I think a lot of teams are going to be bidding on him. And just kind of like a house, when a lot of people bid on a house, it tends to go above market. So I definitely think the Raiders are going to have to pay a premium for him, but I think they definitely do it because it's just going to unlock so much of what they could do offensively.
Well, his agent's talking about left tackle money. Thank you, David Freitas. I agree with that. $27 million is the franchise tag for an offensive lineman. I learned this week, I'm going to say I didn't know it. I didn't know that a center, a guard, and a tackle all get the same money. They're all benched in to the same franchise tag. So if your center, who's usually roughly getting 13 to 15, where the left tackle, the top five are $27.5 million per year. Thank you, Trent Williams. That's kind of what like Tyler Linderbaum's like, well, hold on. Remember the Jimmy Graham thing when Jimmy Graham said, I'm not a tight end, I'm a wide receiver. Or when Suggs said, I'm not a linebacker, I'm a defensive end. Back then there was a big difference. Right now a linebacker and a D end are like $1 million apart on franchise tag, but back in the day, Suggs was saying, hey, I rush the passer more than I drop in coverage, so I need to get pass rusher money. So back to the offensive lineman, your center now, if they get franchise, he gets left tackle money. Your guard, left tackle money. Left tackle money. That's just the way it is. The left tackles have set the precedent. Before we talk any more about that, Oracle, talk about this beautiful. I mean, this is what you could buy. I bet I'm going to say he's going to want right around 20. I'm telling you, I think he's going to want 20. And you can pay him because if you're getting Fernando Mendoza, you're going to be a rookie contract. So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I believe that's who's going to be your best friend, Fernando's best friend. And it's going to be pretty apparent that he's going to be going under center. He did it 3% in the college. He's going to be doing it 40% at least in the pros. So these two guys need to be on the same team. And what better person to have in front of you that you know that you can you can rely on. We're going to watch the tape in a minute. I watched this tape 4 times today, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and I think a big thing with Linderbaum and any free agent that's going to get signed this year is it's not so much how much they get paid per year, because that's what the agent puts out initially. The most important number is when you go to websites like Spot Track or Over the Cap and you look at how much they get guaranteed money at signing. When what does that mean? So when they walk out of the building, how much money is going to direct deposit into their bank account or is going into an escrow account to the league office? Because when you see a lot of these numbers, like let's say it's a $5-year deal for $100 million. Well, it's really more oftentimes than not a 3-year deal. That's maybe about $70 million guaranteed. And in the guarantees, there's fully guaranteed at signing. And the fully guaranteed at signing is the most important thing, because it's how much cash is going into my pocket right now. Because you could throw the sticker numbers out of, oh, okay, instead of 5 years, 100 million, we'll go 5 years, 105 million. So we're offering you more money. But if the guaranteed money at signing is not bigger, usually it's not a better deal. So when you can look at the contract numbers that are put across the ticker on ESPN, but the real truth of these contracts are what you see on websites like Spot Track and Over the Cap, and when you look at guaranteed money at signing.
And my son put a great point, and this is another reason why you can get these players. Boomer Esiason this week said that they should never play another Super Bowl in California because all the players got super taxed on their winnings. I think they made everybody made $302,000 for winning the Super Bowl. I think that's what it was. Don't quote me, but he was talking about the taxes. Well, Kyle Souza eloquently put also Raider front load contract, which works well with NV taxes. That is brilliant, Kyle, because this is exactly what Spy Tech and Brady are saying to Tyler Linderbaum. Hey, man, come here. Do you want our X amount of signing bonus here, or do you want to go play for the Chargers? Los Angeles. So there's
or the Giants,
or the Bills.
Yeah.
So this is a big thing for the Raiders being in the only good. Well, one of the better things of them being in Nevada is what my son just put down there. And I love nepotism. And I always put my kids to the front of the line because that's just the way I roll. And Carmen. But yeah, I think that's a brilliant post right there, because it's going to tell you, hey, and his agent, he's getting his money right now. So he's going like this. Oh yeah, the Raider. You know what? Yeah, Fernando. They've got a lot to sell this year. Don't count this team out when they're going to go for somebody, No.
And the other team that's interested in him I saw is the Seahawks in Washington. That's another state that will tax you a lot.
Well, the Seahawks, they have their centers making 1.5. I forget his name. He's actually
Jalen Sundell.
Yeah, he's a UDFA. Yeah. He's not even. He never was even drafted. So Oracle, let's watch this tape, everybody. And if you're Jimmy Wolf and you just listen to us, then here I'll forecast for you. Oopsie, wrong button. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, look at this. Oh, you're done. You're done. See ya.
Yeah.
That was a 5-yard jump. Look at this. Now watch. Oh, gosh, dang it. My bad. Okay. We get to watch.
And the screen game is something like we see right here. Is something that the Raiders didn't utilize a ton. And this could unlock the screen game for Ashton Janty.
Watch this now. Boom. Watch this. He just does a combo block in the A gap. Now watch what he's smart enough to do. Boom.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to save $3 million or $4 million? Now watch this one. Watch this. Boom.
Look at him run.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go back. I love that. Let's watch this guy. This is exactly what Clint Kubiak wants. And that's a touchdown. Now watch this. Boom. He's flying. Boom. Okay, stop. Now watch this. Boom. Now watch this. There's 3 in a row. That's like bowling for dollars. Boom, boom.
Hello. I mean, it's not too many times where a center goes out and you run a lead play behind him.
His feet are always moving. Always.
Yeah. So, wow. And that guy has like 60 pounds on him. And he was able to put him on the ground.
What did you say about Brock Bowers back in the day?
The balance.
Balance.
You know, another thing with Linderbaum is he's a former wrestler. He was a wrestler, I believe. I know he went to college in Iowa. I believe he was a wrestler in Iowa too. I think he actually wrestled against Tristan Wirfs in high school.
Look at the crowd is saying, pay him. Pay him. Great hips for a big man. Yep, pay him. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Now, let me say this. The one knock that Linderbaum has against him is he's a little undersized, and he's a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. PFF graded him as one of the higher graded run blockers, and he was kind of like middle of the pack in pass blocking. But in this offense where it's going to be a lot of rushing attempts, I definitely think that does fit, even though it's a little bit of a weakness, because I don't think Clint Kubiak is going to want to run a ton of drop back passes.
Yeah, it's going to be plant your foot and get rid of it. So with that, Oracle, we're coming to the end of the show. Let's go ahead and show the notable totables, your total available. So we looked at the top. We looked at Tyler Linderbaum, and that Oracle has already got a Linderbaum jersey. Isaac Seumalo is a very another Oracle fan. Oracle's been talking about him all week. I'm a David Edwards guy. I like David Edwards a lot. David Edwards is probably going to be about a $10 to $13 million a year guy. What do you think of Rasheed Walker? Do you think they're going to let him walk out of the building?
I do. So I don't know if you know this, but Rasheed Walker, I saw online, got arrested. I can't remember what not too long ago. Now, I bet you he will still get a pretty big contract from a team like Cleveland, who really needs a tackle. But the thing is, he's a left tackle. He's never played right tackle, and we need a right tackle more than a guy like Rasheed Walker, who's a left tackle. And he's a much better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. So I just don't know if his skill sets, his strengths is really worth what the Raiders need. It'd be one thing if the Raiders needed a left tackle, but we got Colton Miller. I think the bigger need is right tackle and interior offensive line. So I think spending money if they're going to blow he's going to get paid around the same money as Linderbaum just because he is a left tackle. But I think it would make more sense for the Raiders to spend their money on Linderbaum and make sure they go outbid everyone else for him.
Okay, the only other guy I see on there that Rob Havenstein retired. He gone. The only other guy is Braxton Jones. Do you think that the Bears would let Braxton Jones go?
Well, Ozzie Trapilo, who was their second-round pick last year and was playing left tackle at the end of the year, he got hurt. And it's unsure of when he's going to be able to come back. So I think they're going to re-sign him because they're going to want to make sure that they have a left tackle protecting Caleb Williams going into the year. And he's another guy who's played mostly left tackle. So I don't think it's high on the priority list. Maybe if they could get him for the right amount of money, if maybe they really believe that they don't want to bring in Josh Jones, if they don't want to bring in Braden Smith, they think that's maybe a short-term answer to help develop Charles Grant, then yeah, it could make sense.
And then the only other one I would think of, it's possible, is Kevin Zeitler.
He's an older player. I would think he played really well for Tennessee last year, and Tennessee has a ton of cap room. I would think Tennessee would bring him back, pay him a little bit more. And I think I would rather go after a David Edwards or Seumalo over Kevin Zeitler.
Okay.
especially David Edwards.
Yeah, for sure. Those were your top ones. If anybody, you know what blows me away is, you know who you don't see on any of these top free agents?
Who?
Who's our guard that's a free agent this year?
Oh, that would be Dylan Parham.
I haven't seen him on anything. I was looking for him everywhere. I don't know if the Raiders are not in love with Dylan Parham. Could he be a victim of horrible coaching?
He could be. Yeah, he definitely could be. But look, I think they got to examine what they have in cap space and say to themselves, we have a rookie quarterback. We have a second-year player in Ashton Janty, who we believe has a ton of potential. And I'm a big believer that you get what you pay for in life. And I believe Tyler Linderbaum outbidding everyone for him would definitely be worth it. And you let Tyler Linderbaum be your center. JPJ hopefully could stay healthy and be a guard. Hopefully he could have a big year 3. And then whoever's is it DJ Glaze and Caleb Rogers competing at left tackle? At left guard. I think
they would put Caleb Rogers with Colton Miller. I mean, he needs a security baba over there. I believe, I'm going to say this right now, and the John Sousa Brad Barber podcast featuring Oracle. I think Caleb Rogers is going to be your starting left guard next year. I really do. I think he showed enough play. I think that the moxie of that kid and just listening to him again, I like to listen to people talk and see what they do and see how he didn't have a very good last game against the Giants, the one I seen. But I'll tell you what, that kid got better and better and better. And you know what? You were just talking about Charles Grant. Remember, they brought him in at the end of the year as an extra offensive lineman because we were all out of tight ends. And he actually looked really, really good too. And again, I think that his college, they were running gun offense. I believe that would be perfect for him. But Oracle thinks we're going to get 2 of these guys. If we were to just get one and you guys all know which one we want, I think that would be good too. Guys, like and subscribe right now. We're almost done. Oracle, any last words before what do you think before we talk about what our next show could be?
I would like to see them give a full evaluation of Braden Smith, because if he's able to be okay mental health wise, maybe he needs a little bit of support. Maybe the injuries aren't as bad. And look, is there a good chance he gets hurt this year? Yeah, but maybe he's able to come in for a couple of games, allow Charles Grant a little bit of time to develop. And if they're able to get him at a decent number, I think it could be worth it, because these first couple games for Fernando Mendoza protection is going to be very important. He is a guy who's been a good run blocker in the past, so that can help Ashton Janty. And I think if John Spytek, Tom Brady, and Clint Kubiak feel good about his durability and stability, even though they're going to have some doubts, they feel like it's worth rolling the dice on. I would like to see them bring him in, because I am a big believer that you get what you pay for in life, and he will be one of the more expensive guys for a reason, because when he is on the field, he will be able to provide some value. And I think it could provide Charles Grant some value too, of a guy, another pro that he could learn from, and could help his development. And who knows, maybe Charles Grant is able to step in at the end of the year or in the middle of the year, and he's able to show some promise going forward. And then we could say to ourselves, hey, we got Colton Miller at left tackle and then Charles Grant at right tackle. So I would like to see Linderbaum brought in, but the second guy I would like to see brought in, if everything checks out, is Braden Smith.
Yeah. Okay. You better be really, really sure about Braden Smith. So Mike McCoy was hired as an assistant head coach. He comes from Tennessee. Look at this. This is one of my high school buddies, Greg Blades. From a Niner fan, we need the Raiders to get nasty. We do need the Raiders to get nasty. Thanks, Greg. I enjoy watching you. You're hilarious. He's a real Dublin guy for show. I just with this new hire of Mike McCoy, I've got mixed feelings about that, and I don't. It's almost like it's better to not to say something nice and not say something at all. And I don't know if I like that hire yet, but I'm letting it ferment. I mean, he was very him and Jack Del Rio were the offensive and defensive coordinators for the Denver Broncos the year they should have went to the Super Bowl, but remember the Joe Flacco game in the playoffs and double overtime. Yeah, and that's what got him the Charger job, but he didn't fare well with the Chargers at all. He didn't do well, although he was the head coach of the Titans last year on an interim basis. So we're going to wait for the offensive and defensive coordinator to get hired before we make our next before we come on live again. Back at you, Greg. Back at you. I don't want to. The next podcast we're going to do will for sure be next Friday. But if an OC and DC comes in, we want to jump on that because we want to make these. We're going to go through each skill set from which we think the Raiders need the most. And today was number one, right, Oracle? I think everybody in Raider Nation. I haven't seen anybody say we need this. We need a receiver before we get an offensive line. I mean, everybody's in cahoots that we're good.
Yeah, I mean, they could bring. I think if they're going to bring in a receiver, it's not a headline name unless they feel like Rashid Shaheed is someone who Clint Kubiak really wants.
He's not a number one. They need a number one.
Yeah, and the thing with Shaheed, he doesn't play a lot of snaps either.
No, and he's going to.
I think they got to see what they have with Trey Tucker. This is
or
Trey
Alec
Tucker's,
Pierce. Or Alec Pierce. I have no problem with them getting Alec Pierce.
He's going to be expensive.
I don't know.
I think he's going to be. I think Tennessee throws a lot of money at Alec Pierce.
I like Alec Pierce. But back to that, we need offensive linemen. So that was why this was show number one. I would like to hear your thoughts on what show number two is, because I know what it is, and I'm not telling you unless your last name is Souza. Because that's the way I roll. Is that the way I roll, Oracle?
That is the way you roll. Yeah. Hey, nepotism runs heavy on this show.
Nepotism. I mean, yeah, it worked. I mean, I've seen it in my life forever. Did you ever play Little League and like the kids, the coach's son played shortstop or quarterback or running back?
Let me tell you this, Johnny. I once played on a travel baseball team. We had 6 coaches. All right. We had a coach's son on the mound. We had a coach's son behind home plate. And guess where all 4 infielders were? Coach's sons.
Greg Blades, you're out there. Greg Blades has coached a lot of Major League Baseball players. Dave Freitas. Dave Freitas is linebackers. Oracle, not part of the nepotism now. Greg Blades. Greg Blades is a high school baseball coach for the Foothill Falcons, and I guarantee you he doesn't care. He doesn't care who your daddy is. You get to play where if you're good enough. He's put major leaguers in the majors, so he's got. But yeah, back to nepotism. I don't like nepotism when it's Brendan Carroll.
No, and hey, and it showed.
Oh man, yeah. So I read an article. Marshall Newhouse, who I really respect. I don't agree with them. We'll grab grass and kick ass. This is a family show, Greg. There was an article that Marshall Newhouse said he had never seen. He'd seen better coaching in high school offensive line than he saw with the Raiders last year. And I think we showed it a few times, right, where DJ Glaze would come off on the wrong foot, and he would say that these guys were not in sync at all. I mean, this was the worst. I've never seen a Raiders offensive line since maybe 2006 that was that bad. That was horrible. And this show was dedicated Brendan Carroll, because I believe that we do have talent. And the good news is that we did lose some starters last year, or else we would have never seen Rodgers. We would have never seen Grant. We would have continued to see Kappa and Meredith the whole time, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And look, I'm kind of interested to see what happens with Kappa. He's could
signed.
Be a cap. Yeah, he could be a cap casualty for them if he doesn't perform well in camp. If they don't think he's going to be a starter, he's a guy that you could cut as a post-June cut and save a little bit of cap room. So I'm curious to see what happens with DJ Glaze. Is he able to come in and solidify one of the guard spots? How does Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers continue to develop? So, yeah, I'm interested to see who the offensive line coach is going to be. And even though they're known for running the wide zone, one thing with Shanahan and Sean McVay is they've kind of pivoted to incorporating a little bit of more gap schemes. So that's a lot of like power runs, counter runs, duo runs, where it's not so much the linemen going horizontally, but it's guys firing off the ball. They're able to kind of incorporate a little bit of both in their schemes. And I wonder if they're able to appraise this line and see, hey, do we need to kind of to incorporate a little bit of gap schemes in there too? Because it's able to kind of make the best out of our personnel. So very excited to see where they go with this.
Well, all right, Oracle, we will see you at least next Friday, but I got a feeling we're going to do a show before then. I think that they're close with the DC and OC. So, guys, we will see you later. And Oracle, you have a great Valentine's Day. All you guys out there, make sure you're nice to your honeys tomorrow night. And if you're not, the Raider Boogaboo will get to you. So we will see you later. Good night now.
Roethlisberger. Intercepted again. Picked off by Chris Carr. This is a foot race with Roethlisberger. And there he goes. Have really changed the situation here. Intercepted back for the touchdown.
The Jets could capitalize. Garner. Well, this is going to make everything move. Everything. They're on to Foxborough. Touchdown.
Tannehill under pressure, and it's intercepted. Tipped and picked off. Maurice Hurst off to the races. Tannehill cuts him down at about the 25-yard line. What a turn of events for the Raiders. Tim Brown deep for the punt from Hendrick. Come Raiders. Down at the 18-yard line. Hendrick knew he couldn't get that kickoff and held on to it.
For the penalty, they spotted at the 7. They hand off, it's Pryor. Lot of real estate to the 30. Pryor is off and running. Inside Steelers territory. 20, 10, and Pryor is in. 93 yards. And the Raiders